Welcome, everyone. How lovely. Love it. Hopefully you can all see me. It's perfect. Oh, yep, spotlighted. Great. Welcome to this beautiful time. I'm so excited. We can begin this.
这次说
Oh, hi.
什么？
Of course,
对，
we'll
马
allow you
上
to.
好了。
Hi. Thank you very much. Today, I'm going to be talking about childlike behavior, which is kind of fun. I'm excited. It's going to be this childlike movement of webinar. But first, may I scan all of you? So beautiful. Let's walk up to creative all that is. Everybody gather the energy from the bottoms of your feet, go through your space and see yourself in a beautiful ball of light. To be any color, but take it up to the sky and the universe. A series of white lights, dark lights, and golden light, all the way up through that jelly-like substance and into that tingly white light. Let unconditional love fill all of your cells of your body. Are you there? Say, Creator, thank you for my life. Take a deep breath in and open your eyes. So today we're going to be talking about something that is really simple on the surface, but it's actually really deep neurologically and emotionally. It's not productive or performance, and it's not healing or goals. It's play, just play. And as adults, we sometimes underestimate how essential play really is to our emotional regulation, our nervous system, the repair, creativity, connection. Childlike play isn't childish, it's like a biological reset. And many of us didn't lose play because we grew up. We lost it because it was almost like maybe it was unsafe or unapproved or unproductive. How many of you don't play because of some of those things? Yeah, I mean, for those that have your screen that I can see, thanks for having your camera on. Appreciate you. So today I'm going to really talk about some of those things. Why adults stop playing, what happens to the brain when that play disappears, the difference between childish and childlike, and how to really get into that play, but with safety, because it really just repairs that emotional distance between family and relationships. And I'm not talking about like silliness. I mean, it does have a part into that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about that restorative part of your nervous system that was designed to keep you alive and flexible and in that emotional way. Most adults do not consciously or didn't choose to stop playing. It was kind of conditioned out. And at some point, it was replaced with things like being serious and productive, efficient, impressive, and responsible. When I was growing up, it was required for me to have mannerisms mixed with this composure in order to sit at an adult table. This level of conditioning was like childhood performance based. If I didn't have the opportunity to prove that I had advanced enough, had composure enough, that my intelligence was enough, then I couldn't be, I just couldn't be accepted at this table where they wanted me to be. But only if I was impressive enough could I have experienced this level of safety, I guess is the best way to say it, that came across as an access requirement to earn my seat at this table. It was no longer really just allowed for me just to be me. And it even meant like eating was required and a level of, I would say, qualification. Because if I didn't do it a certain way, I wasn't allowed to sit at this table. And it really just made me grow into this child that didn't really have a lot of that play, but at the same time, at least in not that avenue. But as I grew older, I started to realize that the responsibility had affected my ability to have joy in that childlike play. And responsibility is important. Don't get me wrong. But when responsibility is replaced with joy entirely, the nervous system goes into this survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, it really takes you out of that enjoyment of having play. If you look at children and the way that they process stress, they use it through play. It's like play is how they metabolize emotions. I think that's the best way to say it. Play has that way of giving them an identity that's safe. If you were able to play as a child in any sort of arena, but you stopped as an adult, that's not necessarily maturity. That's almost like it becomes like rigidity. And a rigid nervous system it struggles with things like anxiety, burnout, emotional shutdown, over controlling things, that pressure loop that constantly comes like perfection. If any of those things that you feel that are you, that may have been something that you caused where that childlike attributes that you were allowed to have once time became rigid. And those are those pattern shifts that we talk about in algebra review, that system moves from that curiosity mode into performance mode. And performance mode can't really sustain health long term. It's why in theta healing we get to have clients, because they'll come in and be like, well, our bottom belief is I didn't get to play very much. I didn't get to have that as an option, because play is regulation. It allows that stress to move out of your body. And while we're talking about body, let's talk about the brain and the body together. Because when you engage in that playful activity, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and that dopamine, it just really fuels that motivation, that creativity. Oxytocin gives you that connection, that safety. That's why we love going to class. I don't know about you, but I love going to class. I love being in class, teaching class. It allows you to really have that safety, that oxytocin comes in. And you hear people say this all the time. Why do I feel so different when I come out of class? Well, this is why, because you've taken down your barriers and you have that oxytocin, that dopamine, and you feel that safety that your nervous system needs, that you can just play and enjoy the moment. That safety is super critical, because emotional healing does not happen under pressure. It just doesn't. It happens under safety. Children, they instinctively know this. If you notice children, when they see anything that has to do with stress or things that they have to heal, they don't just sit and analyze it. They're like, I wonder how my emotions feel today. No, they just go start moving and start playing. It just instinctively happens. As adults, we try to think our way through emotions instead of moving through them, through our body. Play reintroduces motion. It brings flexibility back into our emotional algorithm. And that flexibility is the opposite of trauma rigidity. So if you feel like you're stuck or heavy, serious, maybe disconnected from joy, that's not a personality flaw. That's your nervous system saying, let's play. Let's play. Walk outside. Do something where there's a destination. Just kind of enjoy yourself. Maybe paint, maybe play an instrument. For me, I love to dance. I just throw on some music and I dance and I start to move my body. It really just brings that nervous system back into place. It helps so that play is brought back in. Now, I hear a lot of people say, but that just makes me feel so childish. Let's talk about being childish and childlike. Such a different distinction. Childlike is the energy that is so healthy. Childish behavior is like reactionary. It's because when you're childlike, you're more curious, expressive, creative, you're open, you're vulnerable in a safe way. When there's childish movement, it's more like avoidance, explosive, defensive, demanding, um, maybe even space. What would you call that? Where you escapism? It's probably the best way. When when an adult really fears being in this childish mannerisms, it's where they really shut down that childlike energy entirely. And that's not the goal here. The goal isn't just to regress. The goal is to integrate those positive, healthy attributes of being a childlike. It's light, it's airy, and it regulates that nervous system with that access of joy. It brings in that powerfulness of yourself. This is truly emotional intelligence in motion, and you can feel it. It's responsible and playful. It's grounded and imaginative. It's stable and playful. They're not opposite. They get to be all together. Those are signs that your nervous system is balanced. And I want you to take a really quick live reset. This will be really simple. I'm just going to ask you to not perform, and there's no right way to do it. So I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to take a deep breath really quick. And I want you to think of something that made you laugh as a child. Nothing impressive, maybe meaningful, just fun. Maybe it was a game. I don't know, a sound, a memory, color, something silly. Can you feel it? It's like you kind of laugh a little bit, you get tinglies. I want you to notice your body. How does it feel? Do you feel expansive? Are your shoulders dropped? Can you breathe better? This is your nervous system really just recognizing safety. Now I want you to take just 30 seconds here. And I want your face to soften into a little smile. Even if it's fake at first. And maybe you've seen my post before where I talk about even if you have to fake a smile, because it just allows that ability to feel those cells with that oxytocin, that dopamine, that wonderful feeling. That brain just really sends out those chemicals. Can you feel it? You can open your eyes. Your brain doesn't not fully distinguish between real and intentional signals. And when you have those, your body sends out this message that it's safe in a really feeling light way. Those are like micro plays. They're tiny little moments of emotional permission that says, yeah, it's okay. And your brain rewires in a way that says, hey, this is how we have new options of doing things now. We can choose just little micro plays to make reasons to have new synapses of our brain, or neuroplasticity is probably the proper word, that creates connections that say, yeah, it's okay that we choose a different way of going. And it becomes automatic. Play. You don't need hours and hours to do this. All you have to do is just smile. I'm sure you've seen people walk past you that smiled, and all of a sudden you just feel like, oh, I should have smiled back at them, or you automatically smile at them. That's you giving yourself permission to be safe in that moment. Or maybe you feel like you should be the person that smiles. That's permission. Those are micro moments. But there's also plenty of other ways you can do this to really introduce play into like daily life. Again, I like dancing and movement. So you could move your body, but don't perform or track it. Maybe you want to draw on purpose. Badly. Try it. Just try badly. Take 2 pens in your hand and just start drawing badly. It could be fun. Make up a story. any story. Tell them it's made up. You can use your voice in a silly way. What if I talk like this the entire time that I did this for the rest of this webinar? It can be fun and playful. It doesn't have to be so serious. Follow your curiosity without an outcome. All of these things can be micro plays that tells your nervous system that it's safe. And that's all you're really trying to do when you're talking about childlike play. It helps that productivity. You're not a machine. You're not constantly having to go all the time. Because when your nervous system is in that state of relaxation, you create so much easier. And if you're stuck at any point in time, all you need to do is get up and start moving. You can even do it right now, just start moving your body. That's it. Kind of move it. And you'll start to move out of that stagnant. Because emotional processing becomes easier. Even in relationships, you start to soften. Just playing is like emotional oxygen. Without it, we suffocate quietly. I don't know about you, but I need play in my life. Children don't listen to lectures about safety and emotional safety. They had to be trained. Even you had to be trained. Some of us really like to hear lectures. That's great. I'm so glad for you. I was not one of those people. When I had to go to school, I was one of those people that kind of wanted to get up and do things. I loved recess. I wanted to go do art. I wanted to go do things. Some people really love to listen, but we all had to be taught at one point in time to sit down and relax and listen because we were all taught to go out and play. Children, they feel through their play. Play is communication, and you're safe when you play. That's what it says. It communicates that you're seen and that you're allowed to exist without performance. As adults, we really, really need that too. As parents, when we play with our children, it helps regulate things faster. I went with my son over to St. George this last weekend. It was my mother's 70th birthday. And we rented a place that was there so that we could have this big party. And it was late at night and I get this knock on the door and my son he's frantic. And he's 16. He's going through a phase of whatever. He knocks on our doors. He says, "Mom, oh my gosh, I did something really, really wrong." And I said, What? Hold on. Let me get up and come to you. He said, "I got black fingernail polish," because he's painting his fingernails black. He's 16, whatever. All over, everywhere. So I go into his room. It's all over his carpet. It's all over his walls. It's all over this furniture. And we rented this place. And I had two options. I could either get really mad or I could choose to de-escalate it and dissolve that tension and really just help him regulate into where he was and his nervous system know that he was safe. So I said, well, looks like we got a little creative about it. I said, let's do this. Let's see what we can do to minimize it. I said, go get some paint. Do you think there's some in the garage? Because you got to cover up the paint that's on the wall first. So he went and found some paint that was in the garage and we covered up. You know how hard it is to cover up black paint on a wall? Fingernail polish is not easy, but it worked. We did it. We were able to work on some things, change some things on some carpet. And of course, if we needed to pay for whatever new, we did. But that's not the point because it doesn't matter. It was stuff. What we needed to make sure we helped him understand most and foremost was that it was okay to dissolve anything that had come up that his nervous system was up and worried about. He was so worried just by playing. That was it. Because when families play and make it more of something that's joyful rather than so serious and so worrisome, that distance between shrinks. And that's all he needed to know was he was more important than stuff. Play is one of the fastest ways to repair. It's that repair tool that we have. It's not avoidance. I wasn't avoiding or distracting from what had happened. I was repairing the situation. It couldn't have changed anything. It was already black all over. Like, what would be the point in getting mad? It brings the nervous system back to that connection that we need, right? I wanted him to feel that. I want you to ask yourself one question. So let's close our eyes again. When was the last time that you played and had felt joy? Did you lose your play when you were young? Like really, truly childlike play, not just go off and go gallivanting on a vacation. Like real fun, enjoyment, where you're not thinking about anything else, not the future, not the past, right then. Was fun seen as irresponsible, unsafe, immature, unnecessary? And what would happen if you allowed those small joys again? Not as escape, but as nourishment. Do you see it? You can open your eyes. Because play is not opposite of growth. Play is the environment that growth requires. Play is not childish. It's intelligent. It's your system really just remembering how to breathe emotionally. When we see that pattern change fastest is when we're feeling safe, when we feel like we can be ourselves. And it just really restores all of that creativity, that enjoyment that we have in life. And that starts with play. Play is one of the safest and fastest entry points into healing. I remember watching when we were in a class once for rainbow children. I think it's called Intuitive Child and Me now. But I remember one of my clients, she was teaching at the very end, her group of people, because in the end of most of our, instructor classes, we teach. No surprise for those of you who've gone to a class. If you don't know that by now, you teach at the end. And she was teaching them about the fairies. And I remember watching how cute she was. And she just sat there talking about how we needed to bring in the fairies by laughing. She said, I want you guys just to start laughing. And the few people that were sitting at the table just kind of looked at her and she thought, yeah, that's going to bring in the joy, the fun, the playfulness, because that's how fairies come in. She said, just start laughing. So she started laughing. You can even do it right now. Just start laughing. Just laugh. And that's what she did. And then everybody else in the class just kind of perked up and kind of looked over. And they kind of stopped what they were doing because it's something that draws everybody else in. Laughter, it's playful, it's joyful. You've probably done it, you've probably seen it. It brings in and invites that simple lightness. It's not avoiding life. It's making life livable. It's really just part of the design that you have in being yourself. And it's giving yourself permission. That's the access that you need in order to be more flexible, creative, emotional resilient to all the pressures in life that we feel. That's what your system needs. And it's that simple. I really just want to thank you guys for being here. I like to make these short. I don't want to make them long. What's the point? The point is to just allow yourself to recognize the information and let it sink in. To remember that you can give yourself permission to really just have joy. I created this 7-day childlike play challenge. It's this, and not all of you obviously speak English, but you can have it translated. You can look at it. I have this link and I'm going to put it in this chat really quick. Let me find it really quick. But it's this link that it allows you to download to yourself. 1 second, let me find it. Here we go. And you're more than welcome. It's free. You can go check it out. It gives you a challenge that you can do every single day of the different things that you would like. Gives you a little bit of exercise that you can have that just really allows for fun. And I hope it's something that you enjoy. I know that I enjoyed putting it together. It was a lot of fun. But it really just invites that play that you're looking for. And I really appreciate you being here. And thank you for the interpreters for being here. And hopefully we can take a picture really quick, because last time that we were together, we didn't get to take one. And I wanted to make sure I got to say thank you for being here. So maybe we can do that really quick. And that is not my forte. Maybe we can have somebody else do that part. Kimmy, can you help me out here? Oh, I love hearts. They're the best. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's always so great to connect with your beautiful hearts. Remember to play. Remember. Send me your pictures of you playing. I love it. Thanks, everybody. Have a fabulous evening, day, and happy New Year for those that are celebrating. Bye, everyone. See you next time.